Hi everyone, Ryan with Fight Game Analysis here. And today we're going to be taking my first thoughts on DC versus Stipe, the rubber match. If you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate your support. So first off, let me say that I am super excited that this is a match that they decided to make. Everybody wanted to see it for a long time. It was always discussed and talked about, but they weren't quite sure. There was, was Cormier going to retire? How was Stipe going to do with the eye injury? Then Corona broke out and Stipe's a firefighter for his full-time job, and what's going on there? And he said he wasn't going to come back at first. And okay, so finally the match gets made. Awesome. And it needed to be made because that's what happens in situations like this. You need that rubber match. You need that third fight to determine who ends up having supremacy from a historical standpoint in this rivalry between them, right? Because not only is it the heavyweight crown, not only was it two good fights the first time, which by itself would dictate a third match, but then on top of it, you're talking about two legendary fighters here, right? On the one hand, you've got Stipe, arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time, okay? A lot of people talk about a lot of things, but it was Stipe who slowly and quietly smoked everybody on his way up the ranks. Even in the way that he got the belt, went down to Brazil and smoked Verdun with a one-punch knockout in the first round. Beautiful. Okay? Legendary fighter. As far as the heavyweights are concerned, arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time. Okay? Then we turn around, we've got Daniel Cormier. Now, a lot of people don't remember, but he fought at heavyweight in Strikeforce before he came to the UFC. And he won the belt over there. Beat up a lot of people in the process. Okay, and then he comes over to the UFC, wins a couple heavyweight fights, decides to move down to light heavyweight, goes to 205, runs through the division, ends up winning the belt, loses to only one man, John Jones, right? We know John Jones, a guy who's considered arguably the GOAT, just point blank period, just the greatest of all time. Only guy he loses to, moves up to heavyweight, wins a fight, ends up winning the belt by knockout, defends the title. Okay? All right, so that's the history of it. So you can see there is absolutely, it's unprecedented. It's just, the precedent has been set. A match like this, you got to have it the third time. You got to see how it's going to turn out. So my first thoughts on it, I'm going to go back. I'll be doing a little bit more detailed handicapping in between now and then. The fight isn't until the 15th. But my first thoughts on it are this. Now, you look at the first time these two fought. DC wins by knockout. But you can make the argument that right up until that knockout, the fight was going in Stipe's favor. Coming into it, everybody said Stipe's the bigger guy. Doesn't have as good as wrestling credentials as Cormier. Obviously, two-time Olympian. Can't beat that. But he's the naturally bigger man. He's the naturally stronger man. And with the credentials that he has, he's gonna be legit when it comes to the wrestling. Okay, coming into that fight, that's what everyone was saying, and that's kind of what you saw. He was leaning on Cormier, hanging on him, pushing him up against the cage. He was kind of getting his way as far as that was concerned. He was landing some good shots. Then all of a sudden, they work into the clinch. Cormier lands a beautiful, sneaky right hand, disguises it. Bang, catches Stipe on the chin, out of there. That shot was practiced 100 times, and that was beautiful. Would that knock Stipe out 100 times? Well, he landed it in the second fight and didn't knock him out. So why did it in the first? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I could have, right? But part of the speculation was that Stipe's chin was compromised coming out of that fight with Ngannou. And that was the reason Cormier was able to, it was that extra little sauce on that punch that did that extra little bit of damage to get Stipe out of there, whereas otherwise it wouldn't have. That's believable because, we saw it in the second fight. Cormier landed that same punch a few times, didn't get Stipe out of there, didn't even wobble. Okay, great. So he wins the belt. It's legit, he gets that, but we take notice of the fact that up until that point in the fight, wasn't really going Cormier's way, but it was a short fight. Okay, fast forward, we go to their rematch. Now, this is an interesting one. Going into this fight, Stipe loses a little bit of weight. Comes in about 12 pounds less, says I'm going to be a little bit faster, a little bit more sleek. I've actually got more power due to my strength and conditioning routine. Won't be a problem, going to dominate. The exact opposite happens. Okay, round number 1, Cormier uses his wrestling, shows that he actually is the superior wrestler, takes Stipe down, holds him down, beats him up a little bit. Good round for the champ. Rounds 2 and 3 doesn't really do any wrestling at all, pretty much keeps it standing. And Cormier's got this really unique style, right? He'll walk forward with his hands down, almost disdainful of what the other man brings to the table. And he does this hand fighting where he tries to get a guy's hands out of the way, and then he comes over the top with his shots. And it's beautiful. Not everybody can do it. I don't even know anybody else who does it, and certainly anybody who doesn't do it with the high level that Cormier does it, or as frequently as he does it. And he did that for the second and third round. He just continually walked Stipe down. Stipe was moving around on the outside. He was backing up. He was able to get some shots off here and there, but rounds 2 and 3. So you got rounds 1, 2, and 3. Cormier won all of them on the judges' scorecards. He won them differently. Round 1, he won it with the wrestling, controlled it that way. Rounds 2 and 3, he controlled with the striking. Now, it wasn't just the hand fighting and the strikes over the top that he was using with his boxing, which was beautiful. He was also tearing Stipe's leg up with leg kicks, okay? Which is huge because Stipe has a good jab, and Stipe's the bigger, longer man. But Stipe wasn't able to control the fight with that jab like he has at other times against other fighters. And it's because Cormier was beating him to the punch and killing him with that leg kick. So you look at that second fight and you think, it happened in a phone booth. Cormier exhibited his wrestling, dominated with it when he wanted to, won with his hands with the boxing, was landing the kicks. He did absolutely everything he wanted to do. And you could tell the judges thought so too. He won all 3 rounds on the judges' scorecards going into that 4th round. Now, 4th round, none of that mattered. Stipe finds that left hook to the body, lands a few more punches, gets him out of there, game over. Right? And that's the beautiful thing, about fighting. You could be down 4 rounds to 0, 4.5 rounds to 0. And then you can hit that 100-round home run. You can land that punch, you can get him out of there, and that's it. You walk away with the title, right? The most prime example in my mind being Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva. Their first fight, Chael Sonnen beats him up for 4.5 rounds. Silva sinks in that triangle choke at the end, remains the champion. So Stipe pulled it out, and that was legit. He had landed some good shots up until there, found that left hook to the body in the 4th round, and then landed those big right hands and got him out of there. But when we look at that fight, we have to admit that was Daniel Cormier's fight. He controlled that and won every round going up to that point exactly how he wanted to. He didn't have to adapt. He didn't have to change too much. He fought that fight the way he wanted, and he won it. Now, you think, well, okay, but then how did he lose? Well, I'll tell you one of the reasons. Just the other day, he admitted he got tired in that fight. Now, it wasn't a secret. He was out there huffing and puffing. It was a grueling, tough fight for both men. But he admitted, I got tired. And when you get tired, those punches take more damage. Punches that wouldn't have landed before land. It's laboring to go over there and land, to block shots, particularly shots to the body, because you can't dip and move your head and get out of the way with that when they're coming to the body. It's more difficult, and it takes more energy to defeat those, let's say. And Stipe knew it, and he was just teeing off on him, digging right into Cormier's ribcage. Those were doing a lot of damage, and then before you know it, he gets that right hand over the top, and it's a done deal. But the thing is, Cormier recognized that that's what a big problem was. He knew that he got tired, and that's where he went wrong. And he said that it wasn't going to happen again. Now, obviously, I wouldn't expect him to say anything less. Daniel Cormier is the ultimate professional. If he recognizes that he got tired, I'm quite sure he's doing everything in his power to make sure that he won't get winded again. Cormier was able to control that fight the whole time. And if he wouldn't have got tired, who's to say what would happen? Now, like I said, I'm going to go and I'm actually going to break down all the details step by step, put out some more videos on this fight, doing a full analysis and prediction. But just as a first thought, it's something to keep in mind. That second fight went Cormier's way the whole time. So this one, it's going to be fascinating to see how each man tweaks the game plan a little bit, how each one comes out with it. Does Cormier go more to his wrestling to try to preserve his energy a little bit because he dominated with that wrestling? Does Stipe say, hey, I need to get on that jab. I need to figure out a way to nullify those leg kicks. I need to get on that jab. I need to stay outside, keep this a big man's game, and keep slipping in the right hand and landing when I can. I mean, it's going to be what the guys come out with in this, because this is such a legacy fight. It's going to be great to see. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Leave it down below. How's this one going to turn out? And what's the next fight for each one if he wins with this? And if you've been enjoying the content, please go ahead and like this video and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support.